This New World BloodRush Spear Build focuses on building up bleeds on your opponent to gain more crit chance. Landing crits will cause your bleed duration to increase, and it will allow you to gain stamina so you can dodge roll infinitely. After each dodge you'll have a guaranteed crit, so this means more bleeds, making this an infinite loop of crits, bleeds and dodge rolls. To understand this build, we first need to take a look at 3 passives that are in the spear skill tree, and then we can build on those passives with our perks on our gear. The first passive in the spear skill tree that's important is Invigorating Crits. This passive will allow us to keep our stamina up so we can dodge roll a lot and stick to our target. Each time we crit, we'll gain stamina back. This will synergize well with the last milestone on the dexterity tree because at 300 dexterity, we'll gain a guaranteed crit after each dodge roll, making our dodge roll infinite if we can keep hitting our target after each dodge. The second passive that's really important to our build is Exacerbating Crits. This passive will allow us to extend our bleeds. This will be important because bleeds will allow us to increase our crit chance against our target. This passive will also buff other debuffs we apply to our target. When we get our armor perks, you'll see how this perk will synergize with the armor, perks and the skills that we'll be using for the spear. The third passive that's important to our build is Expose Wounds. This will give us more critical hit chance against our target if they're bleeding. This passive will synergize perfectly with our build because we have multiple ways of applying bleed on our target, and the more crit we have, the better chance we have to apply bleed, making it an almost infinite loop of crits and bleeds. Now that we know about the 3 most important passives, we want to choose perks on our weapon and armor that support these passives. Since New World isn't released yet, it can be hard to get information, but I'm going to assume that most of these perks don't stack, and I'm using newworldfans.com to see if we can get these perks on our armor and weapon. First, we're going to take a look at our weapon since it's the most important part of our build. If we can build the perfect spear, we'll have 3 perks on it. I'm going to start with the most important perk, and this perk is Keenly Jagged. This perk will allow us to put a bleed on our target each time we crit. This is important because it will allow us to gain more crit from our passive Expose Wounds. This passive gives us more crit chance to a bleeding target, so it synergizes nicely. As long as our target is bleeding, we'll have more crit chance, so having the perk Keenly Jagged is a must-have, and this perk you can only get on your spear. For our second weapon perk, we want Keen. This perk will allow us to increase our crit hit chance, so it's pretty much a no-brainer, since every time we crit, we'll apply bleed because of our weapon perk Keenly Jagged, and we'll get stamina back because of our Exacerbating Crits passive. So more crits is always a win for us because we'll be able to have infinite dodge rolls and bleeds. For our third weapon perk, we want Vicious. This perk will increase our critical hit damage, and because we have so many ways to crit, this is a really nice damage boost. For example, we'll have a guaranteed crit after each dodge, so this will apply the damage boost for us. So if you were able to get the best spear in-game, we'll have the perks Keenly Jagged, Keen and Vicious. All of these perks will support the 3 most important passives that we have in the spear skill tree. For our armor, we get 5 armor pieces to work with, so it's pretty flexible and you can go pretty much what you like, but I'm going to give you 3 ability perks that I think will help the spear And then I'll go over 2 perks that I would like on my armor as well. I'll dive into the spear skill tree a bit later on so you can see why I chose each skill. So for the first perk that we want somewhere on our armor is Bleeding Sweep. This perk will give our spear sweep the ability to apply a bleed, so it will synergize with our Expunge Wound passive, giving us more crit chance if our target is bleeding. The second ability perk that we want on one of our armor pieces is Keen Vault Kick. This will give the ability Vault Kick to give you more crit chance if you're able to land the ability. Vault Kick is a great ability by itself and it will stun your target, so you can make great use of that extra crit chance by following up with damage after you land it. That extra crit will allow us to apply bleed to our target to gain even more extra crit. The third ability perk that we want on our armor piece is Enfeebling Skewer. This will give our Skewer ability to apply the weaken debuff to our target, meaning they'll do less damage to us. The Skewer ability is usually used at the end of our combo, so this is a great perk to allow us to take less damage from our opponent, plus the weaken debuff will synergize with our exacerbating crits, where our crits extend the duration of the spear debuff abilities. Other perks that I would like on my armor with the ability perks are Resilient. This perk will reduce the damage you take from critical hits, giving me a bit more survivability. All weapons can crit and backstabs will always crit, so this perk is really important to have on your armor. Another perk I would probably include is Vigor. This perk will cause burn, bleeds, and poison to expire faster, meaning you'll take less damage to add to your survivability. As you can see, you have a lot of flexibility with your armor. You can build it however you like, but I do believe that these perks synergize really well with this spear build. Plus you have 2 armor pieces left that you can add ability perks to, so it can support a secondary weapon as well, or just stack cooldown reduction with the refreshing perk on your other 2 armor pieces. Now let's take a look at jewelry. For jewelry we get the amulet, earring and ring. The amulet is a very defensive piece of jewelry. This is where you'll find buffs that will allow you to not get one-shotted instantly. The first perk you would take on the amulet is health. This will boost your overall health and it will later synergize with the perk you'll be taking on your earring called Regenerating. The second perk you want on your amulet is Fortify Recovery. This perk will give you Fortify whenever you go below 50% health, decreasing any damage you received afterwards. This will allow you to not instantly get one-shotted by a combo, allowing you to heal up or counter. The third and final perk that you want on your amulet is Fortify. This will just buff the Fortification Recovery perk, since it will increase the duration of Fortify so it lasts longer. The earring piece allows you to sustain yourself in combat. You'll find a lot of its perks will allow you to regen health or mana or reduce cooldowns of your potions. The first perk you would take is Regenerating. This perk will regenerate 0.48% of your health every second. This might not sound like much, but this perk has better health recovery than having a light ration food buff, since the light ration only recovers health at 1% every 2.5 seconds. This will allow you to keep up your sustain and not use as many health potions. The second perk you would want to take is Refreshing Toast. This perk will reduce the cooldown of your potions, allowing you to drink potions more frequently so you can stay in the fight for longer. The third and final perk that you want on your earring is Refreshing Evasion. This will reduce your active cooldowns after a dodge, making it great for this build since we'll be able to dodge a lot because of our spear passive Invigorating Crits, where we get stamina back with each time we crit. The ring piece is very offensive. It will give you perks that allow you to boost your damage in your build. The first ring perk that you want is Keen Awareness. This will increase your critical hit chance, making it great for your build since our whole build is built around crits. The second perk you want to take on your ring is the Thrust Damage perk. So you'll do more damage with your spear overall. This is just a nice damage increase. The third and last perk you want on your ring is called Bloodletting. This perk will make the bleed you apply last longer, and since we apply bleed to our target each time we crit, this will extend that bleed duration, synergizing nicely with our build. Next, we'll be taking a look at what gems you should equip in your weapon and gear. For your weapon gem, you'll be equipping an opal. This will increase your damage when your stamina is not full, making it great for this build because we're going to be dodging a lot. After we dodge, we're going to get a guaranteed crit and our stamina won't be full. This essentially gives us a big burst of damage after we dodged. We can also equip our 5 armor pieces and our 3 jewelry pieces with gems. This will give us 8 slots in total where we can equip gems. I'll be running 4 malachite gems and 4 diamond gems. This will give us a balanced damage resistance against physical and elemental damage. For attributes, you want to try to get to 300 dexterity as fast as possible, since the spear scale of dexterity, and you want the last milestone perk where if you dodge you get a guaranteed critical hit. This will boost your damage. Most of your dexterity points will come from your gear, so try to find gear that only has the dexterity stats. After reaching 300 dexterity, you can do pretty much what you like, but I'll be putting the rest of my points into Constitution because it will help me survive for a lot longer, allowing me to get my bleed off on my target, and it will also help me not to get one-shotted. For the spear skill tree, you want to adjust it however you like, but there are 3 important passives that you want to get, and you also want to take the 3 abilities that have the extra perks on our gear. The 3 passives that you want to get are Invigorating Crits, Exacerbating Crits, and Expose Wounds. The 3 abilities you want to max out are Sweep, Skewer, and Vault Kick. Now that you know all about the perks and abilities that this build has, I want to go over some of the synergies of the build. First, let's take a look at what happens when you crit. When you land a crit on a target, you'll apply bleed to them. After each crit, you'll also gain stamina and you'll extend the duration of your bleed and any spear debuff on your target. If your target is already bleeding, you'll have more crit chance because of your Exposed Wounds passive, making you really powerful as long as your target is bleeding. Now let's take a look at your dodge. After you dodge, you'll have a guaranteed crit chance because of the 300 dexterity milestone perk, but you'll also get a damage increase because of the opal gem in your weapon. If you manage to hit your target after you dodge, you'll gain your stamina back because of your Invigorating Crit passive and apply bleed. The guaranteed crit chance on dodge synergize really well with your build as long as you can hit your target. You can do this infinitely, so getting good with your dodge rolls is a must in this build. Luckily, the spear has a lot of range, so you can dodge out of the way and still hit your target. Our free abilities also have some synergies with our build because of the perks on our gear. The sweep ability will knock down targets, and because we took all the passives underneath the sweep ability, we can activate coup de grace when we hit light attack. Once we hit light attack, we'll activate a perk on our armor called bleeding sweep, applying a bleed to our target, and we know that a bleeding target is a dead target. The skewer ability is our damage ability. This will make us rush forward and deal damage to our target. It will also apply a bleed and weaken our target so they do less damage because we have the enfeebling skewer perk on our armor. The vault kick ability will vault us forward and stun our target. If we manage to stun our target, we'll activate the perk Keen Vault Kick, increasing our crit chance, making it great for follow-up damage because we have more crit. Our crits activate bleed as well, making us even stronger. As you can see, each of our abilities synergizes with our build. It either gives us bleed or more crit so that we can do more damage. There are more synergies in this build, but these are the main ones. This build took me a week to put together, so if you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, it would be much appreciated, and I'll be sure to provide you with more builds in the future.